All right, hey, how's it going, guys? This is I Am Comics podcast, our first one. I am kind of nervous, but I am Josh Casper, and right beside me is...
Yo, this is JJ Kirby, putting it down like it's gravity. Holla at your boy.
Well, there you go. What we are is, we at I Am Comics, is we want to start a movement, pretty much. We want to know what makes you comics. We want to know what got you into it, or maybe if you fell out of it, what got you to fall out of it. Go, JJ.
Oh, go, JJ. Put it back on me. I'm like, oh, okay, this is how we do this. This is how we doing this. And we gonna run it like that. All right, then done. Let's get into it. Josh came at me about doing a podcast, and I'm such an urban hermit that I was like, man, podcast, what is that? That New School Radio? And so you want to do about comics? I was like, all right, I got this thing that I'm trying to push. Called I Am Comics, and I want to know how you rep comics. I've been repping comics forever, to the point where I got in the industry in '95 as a comic book artist at WildStorm under Jim Lee to, get into comics. I've been loving them since I was 10 years old, and I knew I wanted to be an artist at 10 years old. So I got long boxes. I go to Comic-Con every year. I got T-shirts, I draw. I got my own comics I'm working on. When I walk down the street and I see my folks, I stop and talk comics with them. We geek out for a good minute, before I go in the club. It's just what we do. So I'm not alone in this, and this is a website to see, or a podcast to see who's with us. So when we talk to you and ask you questions, we'll be like, yo, son, how are you comics? What you rep, what do you do? And we'll be talking to everybody from the average Joe to comic book artists, to comic book colorists, professionals, comic book shop owners. We'll be talking to everybody, and we'll ask them the question of how are you comics? Why are you comics? What got you into this? How you rep it? Every day. It's a lifestyle, and we're trying to see who's living it like that. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do know what you're talking about.
Go ahead.
I myself am a lover of comics. I have not done anything as well as JJ, but I'm trying. Mm-hmm. As a child, I liked comics, but then as I grew up, I fell out of it. And then in high school, I read Preacher, which then changed my life and made me get back into comics. And I'm just hoping we could pass that same love to somebody else and inspire them to read a book, and then inspire them to do stuff with it, whether it's in comics, movies, whatever they want to do with it, as long as it helps them out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I will say I want to see how passionate people are about it, though, because I have friends who you wouldn't even assume are into comics, but they'll love Batman or love Wonder Woman for whatever reason. It will go off for hours on what they think about the state of a character is, or what the company's doing, or what they're doing in the cinematics or whatever. I'm like, okay. I remember when it was just like, yo, me and my homies got our comics on the low, and then like we meet at school, trading comics in the locker room, like near the lockers or everything. Like, yo, son, get these or whatever. And big up to my man Lance Taylor. It's just like Shark Fin. He know what I'm talking about. But it was an underground thing, If you wore a shirt that had a Batman symbol on it, people didn't know what was up with that. Besides the TV show.
But nowadays, everybody wearing a Batman shirt, they're wearing Thor, anything, and you ask them, and they don't know anything about it.
It's those people who just saw the movie and think they know everything about a character that kill me, though. I can't even front. I can't even front when they you start talking to them like, yo, I love Wolverine, and they be like, oh, I love Wolverine too. And you start geeking out, and they be like, oh, all my knowledge is strictly from the movies. Hugh Jackman is all it is. I'm like, big up to Hugh Jackman, but
great actor,
But I'm like, yo, man, Wolverine is supposed to be like 5'2" or 5, like real short,
very short,
like a Wolverine,
very short, stocky man. Yeah,
Hugh Jackman is like 6 foot something. I ain't mad at that. That's hot. Go ahead. But I'm like, it just kills me. It just kills me. But you have to have enough room in your universe to let people imagine and escape along with you. That's the fun of reading comic books. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
That's why some people get out of it, and they're like, I'm like, for me, it's I'm trying to still see a man swing around on webs. I'm like, yo, that shit is cool. That shit is fly. You know what I mean? That's fly without the wings. I can fuck with that.
Well, how excited were you when the first time you found out they made the Spider-Man movie?
You talking about the new Spider-Man?
The Topher Grace.
You know what? I was down with that. The first one was dope. And I think I remember the second one being dope too. The third one's when they jumped the shark. And it's just
the second one was their Godfather. I'm saying their Godfather 2. I'm saying it. the third one was terrible.
It was terrible. Crap. I will say this about this podcast. You're going to hear some real stories and real behind the scenes and real talk, because I don't know how to talk any other way. and Josh will ask those questions naturally and be like, yeah, what about this? And I'm like, yeah, and I have an answer for him. So just expect to hear those tidbits.
All right, so now that we have kind of explained to you what and why we are doing what we are doing, is we've also explained who we are. And now, when are we going to do this? We're going to try to do this once a week. If maybe we start getting better at it, we will do it twice a week.
Right.
But for now, we're just having fun and just seeing where it goes.
Yeah, that's cool. And then where we'll be doing it at, I know that we'll also be going to certain comic shops, talking with the owners, if they allow us to partake of their time. Anybody coming into the shop can get on the mic and check 1, 2 on it. Give a shout out to Ray. Holla at your boy. Holla Black. Yeah. So we'll also, like, on the block, if we see each other and we talking, get out, pull out the recorder and get it going on, because you never know when there's some good geeking out going on. So that's the mission.
Yes, that is the mission that we are trying to do. So if you see us, you know us, don't fucking stop. Don't think you can't stop to talk to us, because we will talk comics, and be prepared to talk about it for 2 hours, 3 hours at an end. So you will be late to work. So if you ain't got shit to do, talk to us. If you do, don't.
Better hope your boss don't care.
Right?
Yeah, but hope he's cool with it.
If he's a comic book lover, send him down our way as well.
I know, right? I just came from the comic shop earlier, and I'm one of those people that I get comics, I don't read them, right? I don't read them as soon as I get them. I used to, but now I wait. I'll wait a week or two to read.
Why is that?
I wait because working in the industry, you see how they're made. You get information on what's going on, or you can see the direction of it. The surprise is kind of gone. So I gotta let it marinate, forget everything I saw when I picked it up off the shelf.
Yeah.
And then read it from the cover to the end without looking through it. I like to be surprised. It's like,
okay.
you know what I mean? Because I know that, you're more digital than I am. So when I look through a book, I like to be able to, touch it, hold it, smell it, it's comic. And then if, I flip through the page and I give me that first splash, panel 1, panel 2, it's supposed to be red. You turn the page, it's the page turner. So then it's surprise me when you get there. So when it's coming for the monster, you be like, oh, big up, and then you read the word balloon, you be like, I didn't even hear it. I had to read it, man. Damn, that shit is hot. Okay, so and so did that. I miss continuity in comics right now. I think that's messing it up for mine. Yeah. I still go collect every Wednesday, but the continuity, you can't trust it like you used to. It's like you go pick up a Marvel book, it was like, yo, man. Every month, it's like you getting that adventure continuation. But it's like nowadays, it's like everybody's on some where we're gonna destroy our universe and put it over here, or we give it a fresh new polish instead of just writing better stories and just keeping it all consistent and just keeping all that continuity, instead of telling all the fans that everything that you believed in, read, or was down with didn't happen.
Yeah, that
we have corporate decisions that can veto that. And that sucks. It's really, but yeah, that's where the state of affairs are at right now.
Yeah, and I find that DC has done it more.
They did.
Than Marvel has.
They did. Because Marvel was like, well, we're going to do this, right? We can do this, and like this is a story, maybe we should, and we'll make it make sense, and like do like, this story that ties it all together. And I like the idea that they have a couple characters left over from the old universe to help connect the old universe to the new universe, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. So it's like, it did happen. That jump did happen, and there was some history before. Is there a possibility that you can go back to it? Maybe. I don't know. It's comics. You can be like, we're going to get inside of somebody's head and do a jump back or whatever, or, But it's like, if you don't... They're just like, right now, like Marvel's just like, well, it's new and it's different. Instead of saying it's a rebirth, it's just like it's new and it's different. And I'm like, well, how different is it? What are you doing differently? But it's just like... They didn't start over with number ones where like, here's a new introduction to a character. It's just like, the same character that you was reading last month, is here, and number one, it's a whole new take on this character. And I'm like, well, there's not a new take you're doing. Besides female Thor, but she was the same before they gave her own stuff anyway, so they didn't have to do a whole rebirth. They could have just kept doing what the fuck they were doing. Honestly.
It was all just pretty much Jonathan Hickman, the way he wrote Avengers and New Avengers. Every universe, everything was dying, so the only thing left was the universe, our Marvel universe, the 616, and the Ultimate Universe. So, pretty much some of them had to die. Wolverine, our Logan is dead. We have Laura X-23 as Wolverine, and then we also have Old Man Logan.
But that just reeks of like, well, we're not being able to put them in the movie, so we may as well just write them off or just change everything or make new characters that are completely under our copywritten laws, or hands. So it's like, can't nobody take it and do it in the movies. And if you want to do something in the movies, well, this is, what that's why they cut out the Fantastic Four, and that's why they're killing the X-Men. And, that's why they pumped up Deadpool and, like, downplayed, not downplayed, but, like, Spider-Man was the thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like, once they did him in the movies and Sony did what they doing with him, and then like, Marvel's like, well, we can't do anything we want with him, really. They're like, who else have we got like that? Well, we'll play up Deadpool.
I think that's also affecting maybe the sales on the comics. It's going to affect everything, and Marvel is just undoing itself instead of trying to get bigger.
Comics is dying because of they got in the movies. And you can quote me later on that. I'm for real. They're like, comics are dying because it's like they're in the movies now, and it's just like, and it's not a thing where it's like, oh, it's amazing to see X-Men. It's amazing to see Spider-Man, and even the Batman and Superman movies. I'm like, as a kid growing up, doing just drawing comics and loving comics, to see a comic book movie or a cartoon or anything that was like on the screen was like, wow. And now we're in a day and age where it's like, yeah. You get that, regularly.
Every year.
Every year. It's mainstream. It's the thing now. It's the thing. But what it's doing is killing comics, because now the comic companies are like, well, the ultimate goal for us is to put out great comics, but to also be like, get it on the screen. And it's like, man, they're going to put it on the screen, and if they can't put it on the screen, and Marvel's like, man, we have established that we can do dope, amazing movies with our stuff, especially backed by Disney. And it's like, all right, big up, no doubt. I love Marvel. And Warner Brothers is over there like, well, what do we do with Superman and Batman? And I'm kind of biased. I can't even front. I work for Warner Brothers. I love working for DC Comics. I love what was established. But it just hurts me when I'm like, just put the comic books on the screen. You don't have to, like, fight it. I felt like they're fighting what they are to try to be something that they're not on screen. And I'm just like, just do what the fuck you want to do. Just do it on the screen. Just put it on. Just put it on the screen. Like, and it's like I know people were tripping off of Suicide Squad. They were like, it was 3 different movies in one. It was edited differently, and it was this hoopla, and it could have been this and that. I enjoyed that movie. I can't even front. I went in there. I was just like, I went in knowing all the hype, because nowadays you see a movie because you looked on YouTube, you've done the reviews, everybody's talking about it. It's social media.
It's all over the place.
It's the sign of the times.
Yeah.
Back in the days, it was just like
word of mouth.
You see an average, you see an ad, or it's coming, and you be like, oh, I can't wait to see that movie.
You're not going to see a superhero commercial or anything around
nothing
before.
None of that.
Now it's everywhere.
None of that. Now they have websites dedicated to
everything's digital. I mean, even digital billboards, digital ads, everything.
Everything's like right. It's like, and that's just how it is. So it's like comics are they changed, and it's like they've evolved, and everybody's loving it. They're way more mainstream, but
nobody's reading the actual
books. But nobody's
books.
actually reading the books. Because they're like, now it's like, I'd rather wait on the movie, and I can just watch it and get it like that. I'm like...
They think... the people who watch Civil War probably think that's what Civil War, the comic, was about. When it clearly wasn't. I'm pretty sure there's people who have seen the movies and think... I'm sure Batman and Superman, the movie, they think was a comic.
Well, which
was various comics, but not that one,
Well, you got to think of it and look at it like... There are people who are into the story, and there are people who are into just the visual.
Yeah.
So there are people who go to the movies to peep the visual, right? And they're like, but it's like there's backstory. There's more to these characters. There's a whole so many great stories and episodes. If you just pick up a book and read up a comic or a graphic novel or a trade, and you can get this other backstory in this character and enrich your experience in this universe so much more. But our attention span now is of goldfish.
That's the sad truth is we don't read.
We don't read.
We don't read.
You don't read. Yeah. But you know what? I read comics. I don't read novels.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, you get it where you can. But,
I hate when people say that. They're like, "Oh, start reading." I'm like, "I'm reading a comic book. That's not reading. How is that not reading?"
I read little ass letters.
I'm still reading. If you ever read Fantastic Four or read Richards, you will find out it's very complicated what they say.
Yes.
You have to be.
You will expand
somewhat,
your vocabulary.
Yeah, you will expand your vocabulary.
You'll learn some quantum physics.
Vast amount.
You will learn some new shit. I learned lots of things from comics.
You will be the new Neil deGrasse Tyson by reading Fantastic Four.
You will understand him way better. You will be like, I understand you, brother. No doubt.
You understand the negative zone.
You know
understand everything.
It's possible to teleport.
Right?
You know what I mean? I can believe in telepathy.
If Reed Richards can do it, we can all do it.
Man will make a way. It can happen. So, it's yeah.
and that's the thing is, like with Fantastic Four, it's such a shame because it is a great franchise that could have been the Silver Surfer alone, Galactus. Oh my God,
they fucked him.
Those stories, Doctor Doom. I mean, one of the greatest.
God. Doom is my favorite.
One of the greatest villains. Doom.
Victor Von is the bomb.
Yeah,
no diggity.
The greatest name ever, Victor Von Doom.
I'm reading all the Visionary, the John Byrne with the Marvel edition of Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So like he put out 7 trade paperbacks worth of Fantastic Four stories.
Damn.
He wrote them and drew them and inked them. He had other people ink every now and then, but for the most, he was trying to get that money. He was just like, man, I got to tell these stories. I'm trying to get that money. John Byrne is a beast. And y'all going to hear this motherfucker roar. Because he, man, and it is known as like one of the most definitive, stories. Hickman is dope, and everybody else, is dope, but they got to give it up to John Byrne.
Yeah.
Never forget where it come from. John Byrne. Like, so I'm sitting there reading it, and it's like the negative zone, Annihilus, or Franklin Richards, like having his power be a mutant power, and things drama, with Alicia, and it's like making Marvel girl grow up to become Marvel Woman. No, not Marvel, Invisible Woman. You know what I mean? From Invisible Girl. I'm like, John Byrne just, I don't know if he was working on another book during that time. Knowing him, he probably was, he was, you know what I mean?
The man's a beast, so he was probably working on every other thing.
I know he did a run on Superman. He did a X-Men, Fantastic Four.
I'm sure the man was writing stories while creating more stories in his mind. He was wouldn't stop,
Couldn't stop, Amazing. Like, wow.
And that's the thing is, I always get more impressed when I see those books that are done everything by one guy. I'm like, damn, dude, that must have just taken some time.
It does. It can, but there are people who get her done. Like John Byrne was able to get her done. Keep that book coming out monthly and get her done at a quality rate that's high.
It's that mentality. He was just
that mentality. Jack Kirby used to be able to do it. There are certain artists who get up and go to work and just can knock it out. There's some artists who get up and I'm trying to paint today. I'm trying to express today. Some people just get up and man, I got to make that money from 9 to 5. And I got this much time to get her done. I ain't got time to sit there and romance the stone. Here we go.
What have you been when you worked? What kind of personalities have you got like that? Have you gotten more of the people who are just in there to work, or the more laid back?
Are you talking about the other artists I meet or myself?
Yeah, like the artists you meet.
Like I said, we all vary. Like I hung with like when I got in the industry, I was an intern at WildStorm in '95, and so I was in San Diego. I sent my submissions into to WildStorm. Jim Lee was doing a talent search. Okay.
No.
Okay. And he was looking for pencilers, inkers, colorists, writers, anybody, and send your samples in and see if you got the flavors. So I was like, all right, cool. They ran that contest, say 2 years before. I was like, first couple years, I was like, man, I ain't worthy. I can't do this. I ain't ready. I bitched out.
Yeah.
And then it's like I want to say the third one, my comic shop lady locally in Dayton, Ohio at the time, and my homie Boogie, aka Charles Sweeney, was like, yo, son, why, you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. If you don't send your shit in, you still here. And if you send your shit in and they don't like it, you're still here. So what the fuck you losing? You might have a chance.
If anything, you're improving.
Exactly. So I was like, all right, I did my submissions, turned them in, and at the time it was like it wasn't any email, it was fax. You know what I mean? So when I mailed my submissions in, my photocopies in, I didn't get a response. There was no email. I was waiting on a phone call. Didn't get a phone call. I assumed they really didn't. I didn't get picked. I want to say that it was like maybe a month had went by, maybe 2 months or something. Some time had went by, and by that time I was getting pissed. I was like, "Fuck that!" I knew I was hot, and I was like, "You better get this work. What the hell?" I was like, "What the fuck?" And so
you're trying to tell Jimmy like you don't know shit.
You don't know shit. You don't know
shit.
I'm hot. You don't know what you missing out. And so I started working on extreme comic submissions or whatever. Or actually before that I sent the same WildStorm submissions into Top Cow, and they sent me a form saying thanks but no thanks. We're not looking for the stuff that you're drawing right now. And I was like, what? But it's like you don't send DC samples to Marvel trying to get work.
Yeah.
You gotta aim properly.
You don't send Batman to Marvel,
right,
Hulk to DC,
right. So it's like I'm sitting there like I didn't know and think that Top Cow and WildStorm were like sister companies. They related.
Yeah.
But they're different. So it's just like and it's like I'll tell you more about working up in it and the stories that go behind. You probably don't know about, but it's like. I sent my submissions in, and time had went by, and I had no response. And so I was about to do submissions for Extreme. Then all of a sudden, Jim called me one night, and I was like, "Who is this?" He was like, "It's Jim Lee," and I was just like, "No, this ain't. Why you tripping? Who's Lance? Who is this? Boogie? You playing on my phone? Who is this?"
Right as you're about to hang up,
I was about to hang. I was just like, don't fucking fuck with me, Like that's not how we do.
Like I've been expecting this call. Don't you
dare
fuck with me.
Don't fuck with me.
You better be Jim Lee, damn it.
So and it's like at the time, it's like I'm coming from Ohio. I was 21, turning 21, and I thought I didn't know Jim Lee was Korean. I was like, he Asian. I was like, I was expecting some Asian man talk, and that's like I didn't know. And so when he was on the phone, like, yeah, this is Jim Lee. And I was just like, man, shut up. Who is this? And he was like, this is Jim Lee. And I was like, shut up. For real? You for real? Oh shit! It's Jim Lee! Oh shit! Hell no! Oh.
Yeah.
I did that for about a minute, and then I calmed down. He's like, yeah, calm down. It's really me. This and that. He's like, I went through my submission. Was wondering why you didn't turn back in. The sample packet, of sample script that we sent out. Like, I didn't receive anything. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, no, we picked people that we liked, and we gave them a sample script to send, to redraw, like, to check them out again. I was like, yeah. I didn't get that, man. He was like, well, here, we're going to fax you this script, and I need you to turn it around and fax the samples back.
Okay.
So I'm like, word. I'm like, nigga, this is Willy Wonka shit. I'm like, I got the golden ticket. What the fuck you talking about? I'm about to kill some bitches. I'm like, they about to die. And at the time, I was working at Taco Bell. So my mind was strictly on getting those damn samples done. It was like, it was like a 5-page sample script. He's like, just do 3 pages and fax it back. And I was like, man. So I drew fast as hell. That shit was coming out. I was like, yeah, I knocked it out. Now, I didn't ink them. They were just pencils.
Yeah. You just
So I have to go take and make a photocopy of some pencils. And if you know anything about, photocopying, pencils don't translate that well when you photocopy. So that's already a level of degradation that's cut up in there, right? So then it's like, then I fax it. So if you know about a fax, that's coming over like ones and zeros.
Yeah.
And so by the time I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking like, all right, I sent over the best photocopy I could. It should look just like this. It's okay. So
you sent out the masterpiece you thought you were gonna send out. No.
I thought I was sending it over fire, son. I was just like, all right, I sent that hot fire. They can warm themselves all night by this. It's dope. Here we go. And it's like by the grace of Jim, he was like, yeah, I see potential. There was a cartoony wave of artists coming into the industry, and Jim has a sensibility to think forward and be like, you know what, I'm gonna jump in front of that and grab some motherfuckers.
He has that eye.
He has that eye. I'm gonna jump in front of that and grab some people that can be original with it and take it places. And he was like, yo, Kirby, I like what you got going down. I was like, what? So they sent me a plane ticket and set it up where they're gonna pay for my lodging in an apartment in La Jolla with some other interns, and like train us to get ready for the industry of being in comics.
The fraternity of artists.
It is, son. It was like the era was. It was the time that you had to experience. I got it there at the tail end of the Dragon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like the first couple years or whatever that I missed out on that competition, everybody was caking off. Like, you can make a book and it's going to sell. It's WildStorm affiliated, you're going to make money. So everybody was getting paid like a motherfucker.
The 90s were a great time for comics.
Yeah, they were.
It was, money was being made, stories, new stories, amazing stories.
It was potential because before that it was like Marvel, and there was DC, and there was some independents. And so it was just like either fucking with Marvel or you fucking with DC, or I'm in the underground and some independents and shit, some Felix the Cat shit, right. And so
you gotta start doing Archie and shit.
You know what I mean? Shout outs to Jeff Smith doing Bone. Shout out to Cerebus too. You know what I mean? That Elf Quest, the Paninis,
right, everybody.
Been doing it. Still doing it. Been doing it. Big up to them. But being at WildStorm was an era and a time where it was just like none other. And then I got up in there and I realized how sister the companies were, like Top Cow, and
how close
they were, how close they relate.
Yeah.
How they started off together. While Jim and Silvestri were together and formed Homage Studios, and then they split off and do Top Cow and then WildStorm and everything. And it's like, and how like everybody used to, fax each other drawings and like in between studio humor and every stuff.
Yeah.
And like what do you call it? Poking at each other. It was crazy, son. It was ridiculous. I dabbed my toe in it, but I don't know if I was too good or not, because I did it and I was like, ooh, did I offend that person? Yeah. Did I do too soon? Did I step over my boundary? I'm too young.
Right.
But being up at the studio was like, you get to meet amazing people, see amazing art before it comes out, get to learn the process, trust that your team is going to be able to take it to market. Are you to just be as efficient, as dope as you are, And so when I was up in there, I was trying to bring it.
Yeah. You gotta pick something up from all those artists, man. Because if you don't, then you're not gonna improve. And if you see a lot of great art.
But I realized how much I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
You get up in there and you be like, man, I can't do buildings for crap. It's just, I can do expressions and anatomy, but it's just like that person over there does amazing anatomy. Oh, my Lord. You know what I mean? And this person over here knows story paneling and composition and like all these things that you think about and you do, but now you learn and know the terms. And now you're like around other people who are climbing that wall, just like you climbing that wall. Like there are other interns,
Yeah.
Some didn't make it and some did, Like, yeah, some switch genres and realize like, yo, that's dope, but I need to do this, And that's part of the mission. WildStorm was that place where it's like nobody gets fired from WildStorm. We're all family here. It's all love.
Until people started getting
fired. I know, until shit get real. And then some people were like, yo, where's so-and-so at, man? He ain't hired. Homeboy, he can't sweep the caboose no more.
He got fired now.
And then, and you realize that it's a business. It's corporate. Comics is real. People make this shit. You know what I mean? There are people who put who their livelihoods on it, People ask me, like, why did Jim sell WildStorm to DC Comics? And I was like,
more money, right?
No, it's not even that. I talked to him and asked him about it, and Jim was like, and I ain't trying to tell your business, Jim, but, it's real talk. I was like, Jim was like, I realize there are people who work for me. I've known these people for years. And my production staff and artists and everybody that comes through, like, and it's like comics is tight now. I can't, they're not selling like they used to. Yeah. It was just like, Warner Brothers and DC was like, you know what, we would love your production company, Jim Lee. It's the things that you do on the production side, your average fan doesn't even know what the fuck y'all be doing, but y'all be crushing it. And at another company, we see what you're doing. We want to buy you because we got the Dutchie and the backing. Come join our family. Plus, we get the bonus of Jim Lee.
Yeah.
You can't beat that with a stick.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just like you get a great artist and it's production house.
Yeah.
Right?
You get a great artist as well. The other great artist that he brings with him.
But what does he get? His main goal was to make sure that the people under him can continue to feed their families. Yeah. That type of cat he is. So I was just like,
good man.
Cool. I will say, though, I understood when he was saying, and he was like, he thought he wanted to bring a think tank along with him, But then he found out when Warner Brothers was consolidating DC Comics, WildStorm and everything. They're like, we got New York branch, we got La Jolla branch. Bring them all back into Burbank because that's where everything is at. We can put them on the lot and keep it rolling, and that way they can communicate better. And so that's what they've been doing. They're doing the thing, But I will say Jim couldn't tell us, everything because it's under secrecy. Can't say things.
Contracts and stuff,
And he was just like, but he kept telling us like, we're gonna, I want to bring you up here with me. We could be a think tank and blah 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 blah. Like, and everybody around me, and if people are like, what happened to the artists of WildStorm? Everybody around me, and we were all doing our thing. We were together, and then it's like we got the promise of going up to Burbank alone because we're thinking that the house is closing. We gotta what's up with us? We're in house. We're farm animals.
Gotta find another farm.
You know what I mean? We got we go along with this new farm. What's going on? And I don't know if Jim knew or not. I'm sure he probably knew, but he can't tell us. Let's just be real with it. He, it's like he took us to lunch one day. I was like, y'all should start your own studio.
Yep. He broke up with you guys.
Yeah, cut that tit umbilical. But the thing is this: he's like, y'all should start your own studio. There's more money, all this other stuff, and blah 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 blah. And I was like, you're not taking us along. Okay, it makes sense. I understand that. And then he was like, y'all should start your own studio down here and put your own resources to get somebody to help y'all, keep the day-to-days up and running, da-da-da. And, he was like, since he still lives down here, have a house down here, like, I can come visit y'all and everything, I can come visit y'all, draw with y'all in the studio, I ain't part of the studio, but,
make guest appearances.
Make guest appearances and say, what's up, depending on how it works, like, take some video footage. Yo, Jim Lee in the house, we could have worked it to our advantage. We could have kept the legacy going. Yeah. But none of the other artists saw it as that. They all saw it as just like, oh, Jim said we can start our own studio, but we're still thinking we're going up to Burbank with them.
Oh, okay.
Right. So when
none of them got the picture that they
didn't get the picture. And in my mind, I was like, he can't take us along to be his think tank. It just isn't efficient. If Warner Brothers is like, what can we cut? What can we keep? He can't, take everybody along. Artists can go freelance.
Yeah.
So it just made sense. He's like, y'all can go freelance and make more money too. Do your thing. I was like, okay, cool. So we're not going to be farming. You're going to open the gate and we get to run.
Pretty much.
But it's like, if we stick together, we can survive. I'm like, all right, that's doable. But none of them saw it as that. So when I talked to them after the meeting, I was like, yo, did you hear what he said? We should start our own shit. we should do that. This and that, you know. They all looked at me and was like, man, you crazy, man. What you talking about? You tripping, you know. Not what? No. You know, we can't do that. And who we going to, under you? What? And I was like, we can do it together. Oh. And they didn't see it as that. And it's like they didn't see it as his way of saying, I can't take you along to be my think tank, but y'all could be my think tank down here.
Yeah, like when I'm down here.
And then I can tap into y'all and be like, what's up? Because like a lot of the brilliant things that, you know, and I didn't realize it working for the man, but you work for a person and be like, you think that person is amazing and comes out with such amazing jewels, but you don't do the knowledge and be like, well, surrounds himself with talented people, with jewels and gems and kings and all kind of, you know, thoughtful motherfuckers. And so some of the things he's done was like amazing, that he put it out there. He knows how to time it, put it out there, draw it in a way to make it seem like this is the dopest, you know, and like, but working there, I'm like, oh, he got that, I did that, or I saw Homeboy do that. This is, you know, that's what, you know. But it's a footnote in the record book, and it's gone and done, you know. And it's like people don't realize that comics has this underside of it. It has this whole other life to it, this whole other world of it. They think like, oh, what is Batman doing? Who cares what Batman's doing? If DC can tell you that Batman's history is erased now because we don't want to have him wear underwear on the outside, and if we want to put him in the movie, you know, we want to, you know, have him stand next to, you know, underwearless Superman. It's like. You know, because we want to have him next to, like, you know, pantsuit Wonder Woman. It's like...
I think the worst Batman would be the underwear Batman with the nipples.
As a gay man, seeing the Batsuit with the nipples and everything, watching it, I was even off foot. I was like, whoa, buddy, what the fuck is that? I was like, I don't know how I feel right now. Should I feel angry or attracted or what the hell is you doing, son? Who did this?
Very confusing feeling.
I was like, it's a molded rubber suit, big up. I'm like, okay, if everybody had one of those, it'd be very confusing on the block to see who got the abs and who don't. But they got the nipples on it. And I was just like, I like graphic design. I like costume design. I like, you know, nipples. But really?
You know what I always thought with that suit was that his actual nipples went into them.
Oh my god!
I was like, he had to have them hard.
Oh so my god! No, that is. I wonder what. Who was that? Michael Keaton. Who was that? Who was that man?
I think that was Clooney, right?
What? I think it was Clooney.
Clooney or Kilmer or Val Kilmer.
I wonder what the actor thought as soon as he saw those nipples.
He probably liked it.
You think he was like, hell yeah, you know, this motherfucking Batman got nipples. I'm about to kill him. He
probably had a weird fetish where he's rubbing his nipples, looking at himself.
Gosh, that would
busting a Silence of the Lambs.
That would be bananas. That would be bananas. Really? Damn. I don't know. That's a question to ask, though.
I don't think you would care because you're like, I'm Batman, so I'm wearing a Batman suit, like as an actor.
But there's never been nipples on Batman. Never been nipples on Batman. And it's like, I can understand being molded and fitted. I can understand that. But the nipples are they're just extra. It's like you didn't need it. That was a gay man's fetish right there with power. The mauve glove strikes again.
Well, who was the director? Was it Schumacher?
Mm-hmm. And it's like he was like, you know, on some
was that the one with Mr. Freeze in it, right?
I think so. Yes.
Didn't even he have nipples like Arnold?
I don't remember. He probably did.
That was the greatest Mr. Freeze ever.
He was though.
I'm on record right now.
Up. Like I said, there was things in it that I was like, all right, if I'm gonna ride with you, Schumacher, then let me strap in and let's ride. Like he had the neon light gangsters that are like, you know, skating on ice. He's like, we're thugs on ice, shooting Tommy guns. I'm sitting there like, man,
they're West Side Story and Gotham.
They just coming at
Gotham
it.
Side Story.
I was like, y'all jumping sharks. You know, it was almost like a musical. It was like, you know, like certain props were falling into place right on time, so they could just slide and skate up on them and shit. And I was just like, ooh, ooh. But he was going for a certain campiness. He was going for you know, the TV show.
Very campy.
He wanted to capture that. That's why he was like, you know, with sprinkle a little fairy on it, like, you know, like, yo, and like, you know, go, you know, old school TV show. Well, with budget and power, that's what he was going for. That's why I was like, I'm riding with you.
What's his name? Tim Burton. Didn't he kind of? Like, I remember...
Tim took it dark. He did the Michelle Pfeiffer with the Catwoman with the strikes. You know,
like the first Batman was still very colorful. very purple, very everything.
You talking about the first Tim Burton one?
Yes.
With the penguin?
Yeah, no, with the Joker, Jack Nicholson.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second one was way more colorful than the first one, what I remember.
Because if you ever look at Tim Burton's process, it's like
it's his style. It's very colorful.
He'll do like a children's book or style drawings or what the fuck is in his head. And then, like, he'll point to it, make this.
It's very gothic-y because he is a very gothic man. And I like that. And it's just like that. There was a documentary I saw. I think it's called "The Death of Superman" or "The Rebirth." It's a documentary about Tim Burton was going to do the Superman movie with Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Oh, I saw the costume for that.
And it was the story
that shit
of
was
the death.
horrible looking. I was like, that would have ruined y'all careers. Thank whoever said no, put the brakes on this shit, deserves a cookie.
Okay, but you're not going to tell me you're not intrigued to have seen Nicolas Cage.
No.
It's Nicolas Cage.
No. I put it like this. Nicolas Cage, I big him up. I'm like, he working, big up. That's like a Tarzan movie coming around. Some black people is working. It's just like, big up. So the fact that he got 2 ghostwriters out of it, I was like, you know what? Big up. I ain't mad at you. You working. I ride along with them. Could they have been better? Yes, they could have been better.
And a character he could not kill because he's ghostwriters on S.H.I.E.L.D. now. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Well, then people are all like, this new ghostwriter, he's driving a car. What? I can't have that. What is that? I'm like, it's a comic. Like, did you not read the new shit? Or the Robbie Reyes? He's dope. I'm like, he's driving a car that goes. It makes sense. They tie it all together.
The Mexican mechanic.
Yeah. And it's just like he looks after his brother, who has special needs and everything.
Have you noticed though that Marvel has been going their new superhero routes are very different races. Yes, very more diverse than just a regular white man superhero.
That's their chance to be like, well, if we're gonna redo the universe, can we bring in some more female leads? Can we do more kids of diverse? Can we do this and that? Like, Spider-Man's black. Miss Marvel is what is she? Indian?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she's Indian.
Yeah, so it's just like they're like, let's switch it up and let's diverse with it, which is cool. I ain't gonna tell them that they bad for that. I will say that I wish they would do new characters of different races and actually really make some interesting, dope new characters as opposed to changing the classic characters. Because like killing the Hulk and making him Asian is just like, why? I'm like, you didn't have to kill Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is dope. He's been around since the TV show as David Banner. It's like he's iconic. It's like he plays a role. He's one of the smartest cats in the Marvel universe. I know Amadeus is up there also. Yeah. So, there's enough room in the universe to give everybody their own thing.
If there's enough for Chinese Superman,
right?
There's still enough room for
our
Superman.
And I picked that book up. I messes with it. I fucks with it because it's like they're like, what? He's not Superman. He's the Asian Superman. And I'm like, okay, he's something new. Let me see what's up. Now, if Marvel did that, like all new, all different, I'm like, it's all new, and it's like I will say that they are doing it. It just feels like they're replacing the old. And I think that's the beef for me. Yeah. It's like I know that they're like bringing new and different, like like say Spider-Man's black, Miles Morales, and I'm like, all right, big up, he made sense. Peter Parker passed the torch, and Miles Morales is around now.
Well, now we have both in the same universe, right? We have
Which
Miles
is cool.
and Peter.
I wish they,
because of the Secret Wars.
Right. And I'm gonna piggyback off of Comics Explain. Big Rob, big up, love what you do. But it's like he had mentioned about like why it would be way the F better if Marvel had made it where like there's 2 Spider-Mans, and then you have Spider-Man proper Peter Parker, and he's taking Miles Morales under his wing, and you just don't run, you run their episodes. Him training, the younger Spider-Man on how to be a Spider-Man, and like they write together instead of having the Prowler be the Spider-Man at Parker Industries, and Parker being like in charge of being, the leftovers from the Otto Octavius storyline where he's running his body. He had the industry, now he's running it, and like all successful. It's like he's Iron Man now. He's Tony Stark. You know what I mean? Peter Parker is Tony Stark as opposed to having somebody who's like, Well,
it's not the first time he's been a Tony Stark kind of guy.
I wouldn't be mad.
He's worn those suits before.
I wouldn't be mad at him. Like the suits are skins. Who cares about that? What's important is like his daily struggle. The character's different now.
Yeah.
You know, it's because he's grown, he's evolved. This is how we evolved him.
Well, you don't always want to see him as the poor kid, right? Like
he doesn't have to be the poor kid. But I will say this: he can do the thing since time changed, where he's still connected to the Daily Bugle. He's trying to do his own little magazine or something like that, a web series or something like that, and it's caught on a little something. Maybe he saved somebody, and they reward him. While he has a mask and say, fuck it, I don't care, here's $1 million Spider-Man. And he takes that and he actually invests something in it. And then you see how he takes that money and he still has to deal with it. He's still you can't give somebody money who's never had money before and expect them to know how to handle money. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So it's that'll be a whole new struggle and a new interesting story for Spider-Man to deal with as a Spider-Man fan, to be I can see him evolving into this character, into this situation, and having to deal with it. Still dealing with the day-to-day grind of putting on the mask, but dealing with how to pay the bills. Now he got more money to do with it. He got to make sure ain't nobody stealing from him.
Yeah.
He got to make sure he's investing in it wisely, because he's he get a conversation from a new Uncle Ben. Not that somebody's trying to replace him. Somebody give him some new information and be with great power comes great responsibility, but you should also invest in stocks and bonds. So then he has to think about that shit, and then he don't, but then he lose that shit, or he starts losing chunks of money, and then it's almost like the Spawn clock, where he has money, but it's coming down.
Yeah.
And you don't want to make it we don't want to have to deal with Spider-Man, but it's still Peter Parker dealing with some real shit, and that's what we liked about Spider-Man. He was dealing with real shit. He was a young teenager trying to go to school, dealing with trying to be a superhero, dealing with the death of his uncle and his aunt, who's what the fuck does she do for money? And they're always struggling with the bills and shit. Yeah. So that's why he worked with the fucking Daily Bugle.
You got to think she'll get Social Security, maybe, but that's not enough for a house.
Right. That's why she was always struggling with bills. That's why he was you know what? I got to go make some money, and I'm a photographer. I'm gonna go work for the Daily Bugle. And then J. Jonah Jameson is fuck you, Parker. But you get these damn Spider-Man shots.
Right.
So then it's okay, I need to. Work this and that. So it's and you see him evolve. You see him go through different girlfriends. You see him go through different costumes, go through different villains, new villains, the old villains coming back. And it's the great stories were always about him. The newest villains are this dude got scissor fingers, or this dude can turn to liquid, blood. And
it's
glue.
Sandwich hands.
Sandwiches. It's just that's irrelevant. That's the skin. Yeah. That's the costume that can be changed. But what's at the core is what's important when you read comic books. You want to see how this character evolves and deals with each situation like a normal person would in your own situation. We just want to be able to dip into somebody else's reality at a tangible rate, at a cheap rate. Comics were cheap escapism.
Now here's the thing. Would you if somebody that an artist made their whole series run on, say, a Spider-Man, if they started as Parker as a baby and ended it as Parker as an old man dying.
So somebody evolved?
I've always wanted to see Parker as a 34, 40-year-old man, as an actual Spider-Man, not a Spider boy that we know, a man who has years of training already and is the perfect spider. Yeah. Because he could be a perfect assassin.
No doubt.
Parker could kill anybody, and if he perfected all his things, he could be the perfect assassin because he's a spider. It's a ninja.
But all right, I'll say this. Now, this is the side of comics that hurts me. Yeah, that would be dope to have Spider-Man be from a baby to a man. If I'm along for that ride, and I'm this is going to span over 200, 300 issues or something like that. The team it would take to keep the consistency of it. But, what I'm saying? It's if you got a good thing, then you want to keep it rolling. Yeah. It's Invincible. It's the closest thing I can say to that right now. They have characters that start off as babies, what was it?
Well, Oliver starts off as a
baby,
but he also has a DNA and
but it slows so you can grow fast, so it makes sense. But you can see that.
Yeah, you see the evolution of Mark and Eve. So
right. That's great to see. The only other situation I've seen of that is from Titans, Nightwing. Yeah, Robin from Nightwing. They don't let everybody grow up that too quickly. It's just bad for business. So if the story is specific about this character will age and mature, this is a whole other thing, then fine. But if you're we have a franchise, you ain't going to let that motherfucker get too old too quickly.
Well, what if you do it like
You'll
this?
You'll tell stories about it.
What if, because there's 3, at any time, there's 3-4 different Batman comics coming out.
I know.
So what if that story's just another one of those?
It would be. That's what I'm saying. That's the only way you could do it. Yeah. And it's just that's like Old Man Logan.
Yeah, pretty much like an Old Man Logan.
Like Old Man Logan in the Dark Knight, and the Dark Knight Returns.
It would be basically like Logan Origins. all the way to like when he's in the X-Men and then Old Man Logan. Like that's probably the closest thing you could get to creating a whole line.
You can't tell those type of stories too quickly.
Yeah.
If you tell those type of stories too quickly, then you ruin the pooch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you spoil it too quickly, and it's like you never know who you're gonna get to work with. You never know who's gonna come along and put that spin and twist on a classic. That's amazing. That's what's been missing. You know, sometimes you don't want that with the revelation of Wolverine's name and origin.
Yeah,
he loses so much mystique and popularity. When we didn't know who the fuck he was, and all we know him by was Logan. And he was constantly trying to find out who he was.
You like the mystery.
He was so mysterious.
When we find out he's James Howlett,
it's like, oh, he's another nigga.
You
know, who gives a fuck now? You know,
colonial times.
You know what I mean?
It's like,
really, you was, I don't care. You know, the whole mystery between him and Sabretooth was so sick. Because it was like Sabretooth would come around and be like, I know who we are. He don't know shit. Yeah. You know, I was your daddy. I was your brother. I was I was this and that. And suddenly, like, you'd be like, is it? Maybe, could be? Ooh. And then all of a sudden they tell it, and it's just like, well, okay, you ruined it. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to know that. You know what I mean? So it's like if I create characters, if it's a mystery behind it, you're not going to know. I don't want you to know.
Well, then the thing, too, is, like, because when something runs for so long, just like the Hickman Avengers, New Avengers, I liked certain artists when they were on there, and then I just hated other artists that got on there. Mm-hmm. So that's why I also kind of like with Invincible and Walking Dead, he's been able to keep the same artist for such a long time.
Because it's like those for one, it pays.
Yeah.
You know, I will say you find a good team, and that you can pay the bills off of that shit. You stick together like hot rice. You know what I mean? And then it's like he keeps it simple. It's just like, they know what they got to do. Come on and do this thing. And they probably get to help dictate the flow of what's going down, too. Yeah. They probably got ideas. And he's just like, let's write that up in there. Let's throw that shit to the wall and go there, you know. So they're able to facilitate that and keep that legacy going. I think they're about to end Invincible coming out. I guess. Yeah,
Invincible's ending at 144, I believe.
I'm sad to see you
next year in October.
I'm salty.
I was hoping that it would have lasted a long time because I love it. It's a good book.
I'm like, who's tired of doing it? Is it the artist or the writer? Because I'm saying, like, if it's the artist, then pick carefully and find another artist.
From what I read, it was Kirkman. He said that the way he wrote the story was for it to continue, but I guess he was writing it in a way where an ending just came about, like the perfect ending came about, and he was like, I'm just gonna end it there.
Okay.
Because for The Walking Dead, he feels that like he can die and it'll continue.
Yeah.
But I feel that The Walking Dead has to end at a certain point. That, or you have to. I would like to see the rest of the world.
Well, I'll say the concept of The Walking Dead, from what I understand, is like, it's like everybody's,
it's just a group.
Everybody's infected.
It focuses on one group.
When you're a group, but it's like when everybody's in that group dies, then it's like they'll become zombies, and that's just what it is. And it's like unless you do a whole nother Walking Dead universe, London, then it's like, oh, what are they doing over there? How's it affecting them? Then that's a whole other take on it. But right now, from what I gather, because I don't read the book, I'm not really into zombies and horror. I appreciate it. I understand it, but I'm like, not for me.
Yeah, The Walking Dead's more like
it's psychological and how
a novella.
It's in a zombie world.
The show is very like that, like a very novella style. The comic has a little more action, and I like it a lot more than I like the show. But I do feel that the comic does have to end. But I do feel that when Rick dies, Carl, his son, will always just become the leader.
See, it has part twos.
It has that, and then like maybe that Carl can just somehow walk across the U.S. and then maybe end up
a new group.
You could end up in London, or you find a boat. You could end up somewhere else, and you could be find
trapped in a boat with some peoples, and then you end up in London.
Yeah, because it is kind of cool to know what happens to their group, but it's always nicer to know the big picture of like I want to see the rest of the world all fucked up, not just Georgia or wherever the fuck they're at.
Alabama.
Yeah, they're somewhere by there.
Like in the bayou.
Pretty much.
Fighting zombies in swamp water.
This is why I like Mark Miller, because he will make at least like 5 to 6 issues a story. His stories will end. I do wish though sometimes they were longer.
Let me ask you, because I'm one of those people who's like, is it Mark Miller or Mark Millar?
I say Miller, but I might be saying it wrong.
I think it's Mark Millar. That's like Greg Capullo?
I say Capulu.
Capulu?
I say Capulu.
I've heard it said many ways. I'm sure he's had people butcher his name throughout the industry, but I always thought it was Greg Capullo.
Capullo.
Yeah,
it could
be. Because there's two L's in it. Capullo, Greg Capullo.
I always just thought it was Capullo. That
could be a whole. We got a list of names in comics.
Oh man,
we're just going to try to pronounce.
You know how many
whole episode.
damn names there are in comics that cannot be pronounced.
Don't get me started like FCO Placia. I'm like, his name was probably like something else, and he's like, I'm just going to automatically shorten this motherfucker.
Yeah, it's the longest fucking name.
Like Doug Mankey?
FCO Palisquitas.
Is that what it is? Like, is it Mankey or Monkey?
This is
Monkey?
Tomasi?
Tomasi.
This is from the Superman Rebirth issue 8. We're trying to read
like the name. Creatives.
Tomasi Gleason.
Peter Tomasi. I think it's Tomasi.
Is that Makni?
Is the end of it? So Mankey maybe?
Mankey. He's a
Doug
Pokemon.
Mankey? Doug Monkey or Mankey?
Doug Mankey is a Pokemon.
One of my favorite artists. His knowledge of anatomy is so amazingly dope. He keeps the brother on his toes. I'm like, he just draws it like it's easy too. Don't sleep. His library of work is extensive and ridiculous. Like Superman, he came in like, they're doing the Mask? Not Mask. You know that The Mask, the movie with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
It was based off a comic book. And then Doug Mankey was the artist, one of the creatives who designed The Mask. He was doing that book on Dark Horse back in the day. And who was I forgot the writer's name. Everybody always remembers the writers over the artists, but I'm like, I'm one of those artists who remembers the artist. I'm like, yo, don't forget the artist now. Shit. But yeah, so like he was one of those cats, and it's like he did Major Bummer. Amazing stuff. Let's see. And then he did like forever long on like Superman back in the day, and like Justice League and stuff like that. Yeah. He had a style that was more like like it was more shadow, chunky, get her done, but it was amazing stuff. Let's see. Plus, his gestures, his likenesses, just he's dope. Okay, I can't even speak enough. His vascularity, the way he draws veins on people. You need to Pete Doug Monkey. He's dope, and now he's doing Superman Rebirth, where it's Superman and his son kicking it. So I get flabbergasted off amazing artwork. Don't get me started. We can just go off of like, ooh, JJ, who's your favorite artist? I'm like, man.
Well, yeah, who is right now?
Right now, I'll put like who's killing it right now, or who's inspired me to make, who I think is dope. Because I'll be like, Arthur Adams is still one of my all-time favorites. It's like a Saturday morning cartoon. You read his shit, it's dope. Big up to him. Alan Davis is amazing. Because
like a new and up and comer, like who?
New and up and comer. Because I would say like Frank Quietly.
Oh yeah.
He's been around for a long time. So, like, people, you may be just not getting hit to him.
That's the thing with comics.
In comics, yeah.
That's the thing, is like, you never know.
It's like, if you never read, the work that Frank Quietly did for WildStorm, you better educate yourself. He did Authority, Midnight, or Apollo, and all that. Like, he killed it, crushed. You know what I mean? Let's see. Who else is my favorite, right now? Greg Capullo, but he's been dope on X-Force and Quasar and everything back in the day. Run on Spawn, legendary,
Yeah.
So but I will say Olivier Coipel. He did a run on Thor when they brought him back from Ragnarok. Okay. They bring him out when he's doing special stuff. Dan Norton and I. Big up to Dan Norton. If you're not knowing, you need to do the knowledge. My brother from another mother, Dan Norton. You know what I'm saying? That's, he drew Black Ops for WildStorm. He did amazing stuff. He was the art director on Thundercats, the cartoon, the new one. That was dope. Holla at your boy. But it's just like, back in the day, we was hip to Coipel stuff when he was doing Legion of Superheroes for DC. Yeah. Or Legion Lost, and turned into Legion Lost. And it's like his artwork was very rough and very scratchy and like nothing like it is now. And it was just like Dan and I saw the kinetics he was doing, the gestures he was doing. It's like, this guy got something. Yeah, he's got something going on. What is
he's
going on?
He's not fair, but he got something.
Yeah, he's like we see this shit though. It's not pretty, but it's pretty. Yeah. You know what I mean? We feel you, fam. So then it's like to see him grow from Legion of Superheroes to Legion Lost, where like there's a team of Legionnaires that spun off into a whole nother pocket dimension or something like that, like or so far off in the universe. Where it's not even black, it's white, and the stars are black. It's just like it's reverse. That shit was crazy. But he drew that series, and to see him tighten up and to like you can see him forming, it's like, oh my god, this guy is dope. So then to see him go from there to go over to Marvel, and then Marvel would have him do what was it? The Thor book. He did some X-Men, books. He just was killing it. Did the Spider-Man crossover where they had all the Spider-Mans from different realities.
Oh, the Spider-Verse.
The Spider-Verse. He did the book.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah.
I got that book. It was like 600 and something pages.
All together?
It included every single
all the in betweens and shit.
Yeah, like all the in betweens.
He did. I want to say he did the bookends. He did he didn't do the whole run.
He did the actual just Spider-Verse ones.
Yeah,
I think it's like 4 of them.
Yeah,
yeah. He
did those. He's dope. Like I said,
did he do the Spider-Man before that one as well? Because I remember I was reading Superior Spider-Man. That was somebody else. I know it's Dan Slott is the writer.
Yeah, Superior Spider-Man. That's the
that's the one with Doc Ock.
Doc in him. Did he do any of those? I don't remember him doing too many. I don't think he did any of those, from my knowledge. But I did get that series.
Or was it the Spider-Man after? Because after Superior was amazing, he came back again, Peter Parker.
It may have been that one. May have been that.
Because that's the one that leads up to the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
That's the where Alex Ross is doing like the covers for pretty much every single issue.
So you know how that is. He's amazing. Alex Ross is dope.
I've seen that man's galleries at like Comic-Con and stuff. Like, dude, those freaking posters or paintings are worth a lot of money, thousands of dollars. I'm like, yeah, it's beautiful, but it's not $4,000 beautiful.
It's crazy. I met him back in the day when I was like early in the industry. He was a cool cat. We vibed out. It was cool. I think I met him through Tom Rainey. Big up to Tom Rainey. Shouts out. That's my dude.
Shouts out all around.
Gina going. You know how we get down. Holla at your boy. If y'all hear this, you know who it is. It's JJ. J-A-Y. Superfly minus the wings and bug eyes. Holla at your boy. Wow, wow, wow. Yo, we just talking right now. It's like it's all long-winded. Is it time to wrap up? Is it an hour? Is it too long?
Pretty much. We've reached
that's why that shit goes so long.
Yeah, because I guess you have fun and you just don't know.
You just don't know if you're getting into it, and you just let me talk.
We planned on doing 30 minutes, but
we had certain topics we want to hit too. We didn't hit them. We
will hit them next time.
We just drove all down the road, just donutting and shit.
We had fun. I learned something. I hope you all learned something. And thank you to JJ for teaching us.
It's like each one teach one, baby. That's how we gonna do this. I know I probably sound like a charlatan right now talking all fast. I need to slow down and get into the groove.
We did smoke a little weed before this, so you would think we would be calm.
Oh, no,
it had the opposite effect on us.
That stimulates a brother. Hit me in my cortex. I'm like, I'm ready to draw.
It gave us the Matthew McConaughey vibes.
Jesus.
So then again, I am Josh Casper.
I am JJ Kirby.
And we are I Am Comics, and we hope you guys listen to us next time. We will try to do this every Wednesday. If not, Sunday, release it on a Monday. We will keep you guys updated. Follow us on our Instagram at I Am Comics Podcast. We have a Twitter as well, I Am Comics Podcast as well. All right, guys. Read on.